Deep underground, in concrete bunkers that officially do not exist on any map, lie archives whose contents could forever change your understanding of the past. In these heavily guarded halls, you will find not only reports on strange objects hidden in classified centers, but also authentic files on the most significant politicians in human history. Today, we reveal secret files belonging to one of history's most mysterious and dark figures, Adolf Hitler. For decades, these materials were thought to be destroyed, but right now, researchers have reopened their investigations to find the truth. Shadow protocols, which for a long time only circulated as conspiracy theories, are finally coming to light. Get ready to see the dark side of 20th century events that official textbooks remain silent about. Watch this video until the very end, because the third secret protocol contains facts that are truly shocking. Protocol number 1. The Occult Code. The persona of Adolf Hitler remains one of the most documented yet most mysterious chapters of the 20th century. This first secret protocol reveals that he rose to power not only through politics, but through a fanatical belief that possessing occult methods and ancient artifacts grants unending power. He was convinced that these objects were real tools for controlling the world, capable of filling his own internal voids. Despite his image as an all-powerful leader, Hitler constantly struggled with deep insecurity and a lack of faith in his own natural abilities. He feared that if his followers ever saw his true, vulnerable self, they would lose respect and immediately overthrow him. To appear superior, he relied on mystical supports intended to make him invincible. Even before his official rise to power, he began a systematic study of mystical ways to influence the masses. Once in power, he created a special secret service dedicated exclusively to finding and studying ancient artifacts. This elite group operated in total shadows, separate from the standard military chain of command. He hired the best historians, archaeologists, and journalists to gather myths and legends from around the world. These specialists were tasked with proving that the nation's roots were linked to ancient, godlike civilizations. They traveled to remote corners of the globe, from the peaks of the Himalayas to the deserts of North Africa. The pressure was immense. Those who failed to find proof or artifacts were harshly punished or disappeared from the records. Every discovery was filmed and documented for Hitler's private viewings, kept far away from the public eye. He was obsessed with the idea that these relics would grant him the power to rule for 1,000 years. One major historical fact recorded in these files occurred in 1938. Immediately after entering Vienna, Hitler went to the treasury to personally seize the Spear of Destiny. This is the legendary weapon said to have pierced the side of Christ on the cross. He believed this artifact was an active tool of power that granted administrator status over world events. He felt that by holding the spear, he could dictate the outcome of any military conflict through supernatural means. Simultaneously, his unit spent years searching the Montserrat Mountains in Spain for the Holy Grail. In their reports, the Grail was not a cup from a storybook, but a physical source of massive energy. He believed the Grail would unlock the secrets of immortality and genetic perfection for his chosen elite. Every occult mission was funded with massive state budgets that rivaled the costs of advanced weaponry. He kept these expenditures hidden even from his own generals, fearing they would think him mad. The use of runes in the nation's branding was not just for art, it was a psychological weapon designed to program the loyalty of the soldiers. He believed that certain symbols could tap into a collective subconscious and grant a mystical shield to his armies. By surrounding himself with these artifacts, he hoped to project a divine authority that no one would dare challenge. Ultimately, the occult code was a grand cover-up for a man who did not trust his own human capacity to lead. Protocol number 2. Operation Antarctica, New Swabia. Now we must move to the early 1940s, when Germany's attention suddenly shifted to the icy continent of Antarctica. Many still consider this a myth, but archival data confirms the reality of large-scale activities in this region. Officially, the 1938-1939 expedition was purely economic. The goal was to establish a permanent whaling station to reduce dependence on imported industrial fats. From a state planning perspective, this seemed like a logical move to ensure national self-sufficiency. However, secret protocols show entirely different elements of this operation that go far beyond fishing. The expedition was carried out by the ship Schwabenland, equipped with advanced Dornier Wall seaplanes. Elite Luftwaffe crews conducted an unprecedented aerial survey of thousands of square kilometers of ice. Records show that pilots dropped metal markers with their symbols, literally tagging the territory known as New Swabia. They mapped mountain ranges and valleys that had never been seen by human eyes before. In their secret reports, they noted several oases, areas where the water was surprisingly warm and free of ice. These thermal anomalies suggested the existence of massive geothermal energy sources deep underground. The archives reveal records of shipping tons of specialized construction equipment and reinforced concrete to these southern latitudes. Such a massive logistical effort makes no sense for a simple whaling outpost on the edge of the world. Intelligence experts believe these materials were used to construct a series of underground tunnels and storage facilities. The economic excuse of whaling was the perfect cover to move these resources without raising international suspicion. While the world looked at the war in Europe, a secret project was unfolding in the most isolated place on Earth. The personnel chosen for this mission were sworn to absolute silence, and many never returned to their former lives. The files contain photographs of structures within the Antarctic caves that defy natural explanation. Some documents suggest that Hitler believed this continent held a back door to the world's hidden energy grids. He saw Antarctica as a fortress that no conventional army could ever hope to invade or destroy. Even as the war turned against him, the flow of resources to the south did not stop. This suggests that the Antarctic project was seen as a long-term insurance policy for the regime's survival. It was intended to be a backup server for power, a place where the elite could wait out any global catastrophe. Today, as international interest in the Antarctic reaches new heights, these old German maps are being studied again. The secrets of New Swabia remain a chronicle of a man trying to build a kingdom beyond the reach of his enemies. Protocol number 3. Identity error. We have reached the final protocol, covering events after the official end of the war in Europe. When the fires died down, experts began verifying the remains found in the Berlin bunker in April 1945. This is where the strangest discrepancies began to surface. The identity error file contains materials showing that the dental reports of the remains found had critical differences from the dictator's medical records. Specifically, the bridge work and dental fillings found on the body did not match the detailed notes of his personal dentist. This created a situation where the identity of the person in the bunker became legally and scientifically questionable. For decades, this information was suppressed to maintain the narrative of a clean ending to the conflict. However, the files show that even the highest-ranking Allied officers had their doubts about what really happened. The second part of this case contains previously classified FBI files with hundreds of reports of Hitler's possible presence in South America. Agents gathered information about a man with similar features, living in a highly protected estate in the Andes Mountains. Local residents spoke of a mysterious German landowner who lived under a state of total isolation and heavy guard. The third shocking fact is the testimony of sailors from the Führer's convoy submarines. These men, interviewed under oath, described secret voyages to the coast of Patagonia in the summer of 1945. They spoke of unloading dozens of heavy, unmarked crates in the dead of night on deserted beaches. The contents of these crates were never officially recorded, but they were moved quickly into the interior of the country. These testimonies point to a pre-arranged, high-level plan to evacuate key assets and people before the fall of Berlin. It appears that a rat line had been established long before the war reached its final stage. The world community needed a definitive end to the story, which is why the discrepancies were ignored for so long. But the archival documents suggest a massive manipulation of identity data was carried out to allow the lead figure to disappear.
Check this out. This is what Adolf Hitler could look like now.
If the body in the bunker was indeed a double, it would be the greatest deception in modern history. Today, researchers are using digital modeling and advanced forensics to look at these files with fresh eyes. They are trying to reconstruct the true chain of events that allowed a global criminal to potentially evade justice. This identity error remains a stain on the official history, leaving open the question of who actually died in 1945. Unfortunately, even today, not all secret archives can be shown to the public. Many levels of access remain closed, and we have only managed to retrieve a few volumes from the most heavily guarded vaults. The personality of Adolf Hitler is much more complex than the history books suggest, and his biography hides dozens of files that did not fit into this episode. It is important to realize that many of his studies in Antarctica were only the beginning of something much larger and more terrifying. There is information that modern intelligence agencies still refuse to declassify, fearing it would destabilize the modern world. These closed files may contain data about findings in the ice that completely contradict all known historical information and our understanding of evolution. Perhaps Hitler found something so shocking there that secret services hide it to maintain the current world order, preventing the masses from knowing the truth. The discovery of these facts would open entirely new layers of history that would shake the world to its core. We are only scratching the surface of what was actually happening in those final years. What do you think about this? Could high-tech bases or unknown life exist deep beneath the Antarctic ice, still hidden today? Is it possible that Hitler actually started research there that is still too dangerous to be made public? Why do you think these files remain under lock and key after all these years? Share your thoughts in the comments. We need to piece this puzzle together and uncover the truth once and for all.